Today's focus is emails. They're useful. They have their moments. So I classified them into 5 different types. Let's dig into emails specifically. What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode, and welcome back to my mobile office, I guess. And in case you didn't know me, my name is Ramsey Marjalo, sales solution specialist out of Ottawa, Canada. I think it's time for me to embrace that title. I am not working today. It is Sunday. I am at my son's jiu-jitsu class. So I figured I'm here and I have my trusty Chromebook. Don't mock it. I'm going to be talking about emails, which is one of the least effective means of communication, the most used means of communication. I already said they're the least effective, but they're useful. And the thing about emails is you can use it to communicate with customers, which a lot of people do, but also we use it a lot to communicate with teammates, account managers, product managers. If we look at the effectiveness of communications or communication types, in person is always the most effective, the least convenient. And then you have Zoom or Teams, conference calls. And then you have phone calls, emails, and messaging, Slack or Teams. I feel like they're in that order. That being said, if used properly, they all can be very effective. Today's focus is emails. And the type of emails that we as SEs receive from the customers and what we can do about them. So I classified them into 5 different types. The first one is thank you emails. It is not something that happens on a daily basis. It is reserved for when, as an SE, you do such a great job with the customer that they are compelled to actually send a thank you note. And if they know your manager, they'll CC your manager. In most cases, they don't happen to know the manager's email, so they just send it to you. And a lot of people think that the account manager is the boss, so they send a thank you note to the account manager as well. So the first thing to do is acknowledge that email, respond with your own thank you email. Make sure you never say no problem. I hate when someone says thank you and they say no problems. Like, well, I never imagined there was a problem. The proper response to thank you is you're welcome, my pleasure, anytime, stuff like that. The second thing you do, and a very important part that most people miss, is forward that email to your manager. People miss it not because they start wondering, should I send this to my manager? Should I not? Will it make me sound like a cocky person? Will it make me sound self-congratulatory? It might, but I don't care. This is proof that you're doing a great job. And as sales engineers, our job is very subjective. Whether you're doing a good job or a bad job is very subjective. If you hit quota, you're doing a good job. Not necessarily. And if you don't hit quota, it means you're doing a bad job. Also not necessarily. I hit quota my first year as a sales engineer, despite my sales engineering skills, not because of. So I was a horrible SE. I still hit quota. Doesn't mean I was doing a good job. Why do you want to send them? 2 main reasons. One, it can be used for your next performance review. For your boss to be able to have ammunition when they're trying to negotiate your salary increase with their boss, your promotion. Maybe you want to become an SE leader. That can be used. I like to message my boss, and if something like that happens, like, hey, remember this next promotion time. Stuff like that. You can be funny about it. It doesn't have to. You can be self-deprecating at the same time as like self-congratulatory. It depends on your relationship with your management team. Once that's done, maintain that good relationship with the customer, because you never know, they could need you, you could need them. That's one of the rarest forms of emails that you'll get. The most common email, or one of the most common emails, is a pre-sales question. You get a question about a specific feature or something went wrong in the POC. The way you answer it really depends on where you are in the pre-sales cycle. Is it a new op or current op? Is the deal supposed to be closing and you're still getting these questions? Or are you in the early stages? If your account manager said that customer committed to this PO and you're still getting pre-sales questions, that's kind of strange. That's something to look at. Did something happen that making them reconsider? Did they talk to a competitor last minute who threw some landmines in? This is something to look at and be wary about if it's like in the final stages of the process. But if it's in the early stages, that's a good thing. That means they're engaged, they're asking you questions. They're asking about a feature or a tool. We talked about how an email can be very non-effective. If it's a question answer, great. If it's a question answer, another question, another answer, another question, another answer, at some point you're going to have to pick up the phone and schedule a call, because too many back and forth, it's a deal killer, because something is being lost in translation. If there's like more than 1 or 2 questions and answers, make sure you schedule a call and be careful of scope creep through email. We were doing let's say a proof of concept. This is all the information that we said. And then in the email, they're asking you about something else that's not related to what you had discussed. So be careful of that and how you nip it in the bud. Should you add it to the scope, or should you just consider scope pre and not add it? Third type of question that I see is support questions. Something happened with the customer. They know you more than they know anybody else. Even if there's a customer success person, if the sales cycle was long enough, they get to develop a relationship with you. And again, it depends on the product. If it's a simple product, that means a short sales cycle. If it's a long sales cycle, if you work for VMware, for Cisco, for Nokia, for my company, it's a long sales cycle, and you get to build relationships, and also you have repeat customers. You are the point of contact. You're the one they know and trust, and they reach out to you. Something happened. What are you supposed to do? Well, the question that you have to ask yourself, like, what is the post-sales process? Is there a post-sales process? A lot of companies don't have it and leave it to the SE to figure it out, in which case you're going to have to build one. If that's a question of yours, leave a comment below, let me know, so I can answer that question. Figure out what the sales process. Do you have a technical account manager, a TAM? Is there a customer success person? No or yes. Either way, should you open a ticket or should you spend time trying to debug it? Generally speaking, my opinion has always been SEs need to focus on pre-sales. But if you're at a company like Cisco and you have repeat customers and it's a good way to develop a relationship, then maybe you should invest some time working on something like this. Or at least you can open a ticket, but still manage, still be involved, still jump on calls occasionally to understand what's going on. So the benefits of being more hands-on is you build a better relationship. The downside is it's time away from closing opportunities or helping close opportunities. The fourth thing is urgent requests. Like something went horribly wrong. Whether in a POC, post-sales, doesn't matter, or they're pissed at your salesperson, you're going to get some urgent requests. Something needs to be resolved as soon as possible. So it can be the same as support emails, but way more intense. Way more, oh my God, we're at the end of our rope and we're gonna lose something. We're working on our customers and we're losing a deal because of your problem. Last year, July, Rogers had a outage. Rogers is our communications company. It's our service provider vendor in Canada. I don't work with them. They're not a customer of mine. I am a customer of theirs. And I can imagine their vendors asking what's going on, trying to figure out what's going on. At that point, I don't care if you're an SE, an account manager, a support person, everybody probably jumped on the call right away. Like, got off email. It was probably a phone call. Jumped on a call and everybody started trying to figure it out. And some sales engineers are good at figuring stuff out, some aren't, and they delegate, which is fine. We do what we have to do. But there are certain levels of urgency. If it's very urgent, they're going to call you. If it's somewhat urgent and the person who's handling it may not know that they can call you or not know your number, they don't know how to deal with it, they might send you an email. At that point, you just acknowledge, say, got this, let me call you. And I always try to call. If it's urgent, call. You know, we talked about the effectiveness of communications. Call is up there and one of the best ways to do it. Now, the fifth email you might get is the opposite end of the first email, which was compliments. This was complaints. Many customers complain about the product or the process or something that's not related to you as a sales engineer. And sometimes they have a point, sometimes they don't. The thing about us sales engineers is we fall in love with our product. We don't like hearing bad things about our product. And we're not very objective about it. Like, we try to defend it. But if someone's complaining, it may be true. I hate to break it to you. They might have a point, and they might not. But what you can do as an SE is listen and see what's right and what's wrong and learn from it. Also, is there something you can do? Sometimes the customer just wants to vent. They send a mean email. Is there something you can actually fix with what they're saying? Or is it just the status quo? The customer is not always right. They could be wrong. And in many cases, they are wrong. In many cases, they're complaining about something that they say, oh, you can't do this, and we actually can. It's just hidden somewhere. And sometimes they're actually complaining about something that's hidden. Or let me rephrase that. They're complaining about something, but what they mean is something else. They're complaining about a symptom, not the problem. And as sales engineers, as salespeople, we need to figure out what that problem is and understand it so we can either fix it or open a feature request, enhancement request, whatever you call it. Whatever, and just try to figure it out. Maybe it is you, and also self-reflect. Maybe it is you. Maybe you did something bad. Work with your account managers to tackle the situation. If they're complaining about you personally, what did you do? What happened? Is there a perception of you doing something wrong? For example, we work with customers, we work with users, and some companies have someone who manages all the communications with the user. A user would email me, and I would email back. We find the problem, which we then include the person who manages the entire thing, and they'd be mad at us for not actually including them earlier, before we knew there was a problem. So it could be a process thing. It could be like, all right, next time I'll just include you from day one, no problem. Or it could be something random like, he looked at me funny. The big thing here is if the deal cannot be salvaged, if they're complaining about a pre-sales opportunity, about something with the product, if the deal cannot be salvaged, the account manager will try to salvage it. But you can also move on, right? You can move on to the next opportunity. When salespeople work, they should have a big funnel. If they lose one, they're not screwed for the rest of the year or the half or the quarter or whatever the quota is. I'm sure there are many other types of emails that people receive. These are the 5 that I thought about earlier. If you can think of any other types of emails that they receive, let me know below. This is Sunday, so, well, you're probably watching it on Sunday again. Oh, I just realized that. So don't get back to work. Peace.